Hello, and everyone. I'm welcoming you back to our show. My name is Alvin Adriano, CEO of TravelWise International, and I'm so thankful for all the viewers watching. Summer is upon us, and I hope everyone is enjoying the weather and finally getting things the way it was before normal. On today's episode, we'll be talking to an amazing Filipina who has not only made waves for herself, but she also helps make waves for other people. Her drive and passion are a testament to her love of the Filipino people, her culture, and her tremendous generosity to help others. I am so excited to bring her out and share a little bit of her experiences and some nuggets of advice for everyone looking for inspiration. Now, if you're watching this live, please hashtag live. And if you're watching on the replay, please hashtag replay. Please share in the comments where you are watching from so we can represent your hometowns. So I wanted to also acknowledge Alvin Lapitan. He was on our show last week, and he is the CEO of Iron Asylum down in Virginia Beach, if anyone knows, on the East Coast. A young Philam who never wavered in his path towards success and created his own way throughout the process. He is the owner of two fan favorite fitness gyms in the Hampton Roads area and also a successful mortgage broker who finds ways to help people invest in their future. So snaps for Alvin and his family down in the 757. But for today, I have a brilliant woman who has been breaking down doors since her time in the Philippines. She has been one of my latest inspirations and continues to push the envelope when it comes to uniting our Filipino community. So instead of rambling on, let me please tell you more about Miss Louella Cabalona. Louella Rose Cabalona is the lead singer and founder of the Filipino folk fusion band SamaSama Project. She started in 2008 to encourage local musicians to play and propagate authentic Filipino music in the Chicagoland. She is a newscaster on Chicago Philippine Reports Television broadcast on Chicago Cable 25 on WOW, RCN, and Comcast Cable throughout Chicagoland, and also writes for Via Times news magazine about local happenings, celebrity features, Filipino culture, food, and travel. Before moving to Illinois, Louella was a musical theater actor working for Repertory Philippines and Tanghalang Filipino in Manila and Theaterworks in Singapore. She dabbled in Philippine television acting in soap operas, the Knowledge Channel TV shows, and ABS-CBNs. If you lived in Manila in the early 2000s, you may recognize her in the widely popular Selecta Sunday Jolex and Lucky Me Spicy Hot Mommy TV commercials. Over the years, she has sung and performed in many concerts, festivals, and stages in the Midwest, and even World Youth Day in Madrid, Spain. An active community leader, she and husband Baron have been holding workshops and providing opportunities for kids and teens to learn how to sing Tagalog uh, and other Philippine language. Um, she's also a senior manager for data and analytics solutions at Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois. She serves on the board of directors for Philippine American Chamber of Commerce of Greater Chicago. Also, a director of Asian Pop Up Cinema, Filipino Musicians of Chicago, Midwest Filipino American Coalition, and is the current president of the Filipino Young Leaders Program. She is passionate about sharing Philippine culture in the modern world and actively supports all outstanding Filipinos across the globe. She is a celebrity in the local Filipino community, and I just absolutely love her drive. So please smash her heart buttons and let's give Miss Luella Cabalona a well deserved thank you for being here with us today. Let me see. Oh, I think she dropped. Hold on one second, guys. Let me see if I can bring her back on. All right, so I am trying to get her back on. So while we're doing that, I'll talk a little bit more about PhilPro. If you don't know, PhilPro is the Filipino Young Leaders Program that was instituted in 2012 by Ambassador Kusina. Their inaugural batch mates included 8 highly influential and successful Filipino Americans, and Luella was one of the inaugural ones. Oh, there she is. Let me go ahead and bring her on. All right. So as we wait for Luella to come on, hey
Hello,
Luella, how are you?
Melvin. I was super excited to come on. I didn't know I got disconnected, but I'm happy to be
Yeah.
here and thank you for inviting us, inviting
No,
me,
that was
myself, and Philbro really to represent the organization. I'm happy to be here.
no, it was great. We lost you for a second. I was kind of worried. I thought something happened. I was like, oh my gosh, I just introduced her and then she's gone. So, where are you calling from? Where are you at? I
I'm
know
in
we talked.
Chicago. Yeah,
Awesome.
Chicago right now. It's a sunny day here, super hot, as a matter of fact. But I wanted to make sure because I am meeting with the CEO of TravelWise. I had my best airline outfit on, and it just happens to be matching with you too.
Look at that. Great minds think alike. I mean, it's perfect. I mean, we both look like we're ready to get out and travel, and it's been a hard year. I mean, all of us are ready to get out and see the world, and I'm so excited because I mean, honestly, we met virtually, and so I'm so excited for when we're finally going to meet in person because that's kind of the thing to do now, like make friends virtually and then meet in person.
Absolutely. It's funny. I feel like there's this syndrome of being geographically displaced because all the people I met for an entire year and something, I do not place them where they live. I feel like they're our neighbors.
Yeah.
Like I think I was inviting you to a movie one time, not really thinking that you were
Yeah.
out in DC and I'm here in Chicago. So hopefully we can kind of like smoothen that out and kind of really have a placement for where people live now after all this is done.
Well, awesome. Yeah, I'm really excited. Especially, I'll be going to Chicago at the end of August, so we'll definitely catch up, and we'll definitely have all the viewers see what we're working on together.
Lovely. Yes, excited for
So,
that.
I read a bio of what you do and what you all the things that you're part of, and it's just it's exciting, to have someone who is so dedicated and passionate about her work to the community. But in your own words, I mean, how would you describe yourself and the things that you're passionate about?
I think I want to start off with what I had discovered moving to the US, right? This was almost 2 decades ago, right? I think at that point in time, people recognize that now that there was not enough visibility on anything Filipino, right?
Mm,
And being musical theater actors in the Philippines,
yeah.
and someone who's really passionate about sharing our music, sharing our story, sharing our instruments, the
Yeah.
cultural practices. I felt like I that wasn't surfacing anywhere here, despite us having a big population of Filipino Americans in the creative field. As a matter of fact, here in Chicago, there's a big population of bands and singers
Yeah.
and instrumentalists because this is where everybody went for like blues, right?
Yeah.
And yet during that time I could not find a single Filipino singer or musician that was actually playing Filipino music. And so that started my quest in really trying to understand the community and eventually build what is now SamaSama Project, the Filipino folk fusion band that is playing around here in the Midwest. And we started 2008. It's now like our 13th year. But I I want to say that's what really grounded
Mhm.
my passion for serving the community. Because after I realized what representation was needed, it also opened my eyes up to the advocacies, the needs of the
Yeah.
community that we should meet. And in part, that was answered when 4 years later, after building SamaSama Project, I had the honor of being one of the inaugural delegates of Philbro, where I met these amazing leaders, people who had advocacies that I really resonated with, like voter registration, like dual citizenship,
Yeah.
like all of that in representation in all fields, leadership in corporate spaces, um, uh, prov- prioritization in funding for not for profits, all of that, because it's all going to help at the end of the day our Filipino community.
Well, that's funny that you mentioned, the strong ties that you have to music, because the soul of Filipino is music. I mean, we create some of the
Absolutely.
best singers, the best type of music. And I mean, for you, how do and especially with Philpro and then the different industries and sectors that they represent, but for you coming into music, coming from theater and art, when did you know you wanted to pursue singing and acting and
I think I don't even have like a specific date because I have always been immersed in music and theater.
yeah,
I remember growing up where my mom would actually record on nobody young listening would know this now, but she would record us on tape, like on cassette tape,
the
and
cassette tape,
actually send that to like my ninongs and my ninangs abroad in the US, in Dubai, and say, hey, here's lovely. Oh, yeah, that was my nickname back then. Lovely singing, some nursery rhymes. And I mean, I look back at pictures now of me in kindergarten where I'm playing, Mother Mary or the Mother Cat in this thing. So it's always
yeah.
been, and in high school, I had the opportunity to be part of a huge um, musical play for the
Yeah.
25th anniversary of our school in St. Paul College, Pasig, which is this. These are the colors of St. Paul, by the way. Yeah, and that really opened my eyes to the power of storytelling through musical theater, which is acting and singing and music at the same
Yeah.
time. I'm like, wow, mind blown. You
Yeah.
know?
Oh no. I mean, how you mention it. I mean, that's how you can connect people so easily through culture, through heritage, because acting it out and seeing it with your own eyes. I mean, a lot of people don't know that the different senses can create different memories, and the more senses that you interact with each other, the more solidify those memories. And so sometimes when you see the dance, you see the culture, even food, it just takes you back to those places in Philippines. It makes you want to remember more about your culture. When I lived in the Philippines, I remember the smell or the feeling when the guy with the taho go by. I'm just like, oh, I can't wait. Or in the freshness
Yeah.
of the air. And so when you say music, that was something that I really love about your story, because that's how you created a movement in Chicago, and that led to you to bigger and brighter things with advocacy, like you said, with PhilPro. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, with SamaSama Project, what were one of your key focuses that you did? Because I mean, you're in a band. I think with like Rand and John and your husband Baron
Yeah.
and a guy
Mhm.
named Giga.
Giga. There's
Giga.
six of us.
Yeah.
There's six of us in the band, and I've always loved. Mind you, I wanted to say, right, music is just to piggyback on what you said earlier. Music and arts, they're easy ways to introduce people to our culture, right? And it easily breaks down all of these assumptions
Yeah.
of like of and really the unfamiliarity of things, right? If there's something different from you, I think music and art transcend that. And
Yeah.
I think that's what we love. That's what I love about being in this field. And so to tie to what you're saying, like I really still love for, and we've done that to some extent already, to have our music play in the mainstream, right? I know that there's a lot of artists now that are doing that, like they are fusing.
Yeah.
There's a few of them. They're fusing true Filipino music and then embedding and injecting their own artistry into it. And it comes out something very different, but it's still uniquely Filipino.
Yeah.
That's what I hope to see. That's what I hope to see in the Grammys. That's what I hope people will be winning Grammy Awards for.
Well, you're so passionate about it, and one thing I do want to touch up is something on your resume, Tanghalang Filipino. Like that kind of theater work. If for all the viewers who don't know, Tanghalang Filipino is a resident drama company of the Cultural Center of the Philippines, and it was established in '87. And they've presented over, I think, 114 productions over 15 seasons, while
Mm.
generating some of the best attendance for the CCP. So, for you, how have you incorporated like theater, improv, reenactment into all your advocacy and the things that you're so passionate about?
It's actually an easy solution, right? And I'll tell you a true use case, right? Use case that we used it for. So around the time when the two early, so around 2010 to 2015,
Hmm.
you must recall like there were a number of years where we we would always hear of typhoons
Yeah.
ravaging the Philippines in different areas, right?
Yeah.
Um, of course, as Filipino Americans, you have a lot of relatives back home, and you're always watching out during typhoon season if somehow your province, the places where your family will get
Yeah.
hit,
Affected. Yeah.
right? And so I think during that time, I was and still am very active in the Filipino American community here in Chicago, and we felt like, hey, there's something that we could do. And the easy answer with that is I have a lot of friends in the arts. And so what became of the initiatives of or the want to try to help them is for us to put together a show. And this was multiple, like we had many in so many years,
Hmm.
where we were trying to raise funds. At some
Yeah.
point in time, we raised over 10,000 funds in one
Awesome.
show.
No,
And
that's
yeah, and in that one show, because of the $10,000 that we were able to raise in one night, um, this money was used specifically to make houses in Iloilo
oh wow.
during the time of Sendong, the
Sendong. Yeah, that's a big
Euro
one.
Sendong.
That was a big one.
You will actually see that it's probably still on YouTube. ABS-CBN eventually featured myself and as part of PhilPro as well, highlighting this initiative where we used SamaSama Project. We used what we built, which is a sort of like a coalition of different artists, which is the Illinois Philippine Recovery Operations (ILPRO),
Yep.
and we were able to send money to build houses in Iloilo. And they interviewed in that ABS-CBN show called Ako Ang Simula.
Hmm.
We interviewed the woman who got one of the houses that we built. It was a lady who had 5 kids and a husband, and her husband and 3 kids passed away
Wow.
in during that typhoon. And I was so touched when
Mhm.
I heard about that because to us, we're just donating one night to perform a song, to
Yeah.
put this show together. But to somebody all the way on the other end of the world, we're actually helping change the life of a person that was, gravely affected by natural calamities that hit the Philippines on a yearly basis.
Wow, that's crazy that all of these steps in your lifetime led you to where you are and led you toward advocacy because you can see how much influence or how much you can give back with the little things like, every industry can give back some way. And I'm so happy and proud that through music, art, food, assistance, and through our nonprofit, that we're able to help people, especially Philams, really reconnect with their culture, with their countrymen, and just realize, even though we're in different destinations or different places, we're all one. So thank you for that. I do want to remind all the viewers, if you are watching live, hashtag live. If you're watching on the replay, hashtag replay. And if you have any questions for Luella about her history, about her advocacy, about PhilPro, go ahead and drop it into the comments so we can answer it later on in our Q&A portion. I do want to recognize some people who are on. I see Phyllis is hashtag live, Khalil's hashtag live, Michael Vea said, let's go Luella. So I think
Ooh,
he's an alum from PhilPro, so he's
yes,
watching on here
that
too.
was yes.
Awesome.
Michael is from our same batch, a Harvard graduate. One of those people I dearly admired being part of Philbro.
Amazing. And we talked about what led you into your advocacy, but let's talk about more about PhilPro. I mean, you are now, congratulations. You are now the president. Is it 2-year term? Or are we
It's
going?
actually 1 year term as president, but I was already serving as vice president last year, and it's a transition from VP to president within
Amazing.
the Philbro
So
org.
yeah, and so now you have the organization, you're leading it. Can you talk more about our viewers who are unaware about what PhilPro is and what their mission is?
Yes, definitely. So PhilPro is a Filipino Young Leaders Program. It's a network of high-performing Filipino American leaders that actually get into the program by being selected as one of the delegates of the immersion program that we have annually. This was initiated by the Philippine Embassy back in 2012. Both Mike and I were part of that then. And ever since then, um, we had been bringing 10 to 15 delegates to the Philippines to experience another side of the Philippines that you probably will not see by just vacationing, right? We are um, allowing these leaders to meet captains of industry, government leaders, movers in the social entrepreneurship, and influencers in the Philippines in the hopes that they can also find ways to contribute to the progress of the Philippines, the Filipinos back home, as well as bring something back here for Filipino Americans.
Hmm.
The organization that I lead is a not for profit that we built in 2015. That was 3, 4 years after the first immersion program, when the alumni themselves, the first 3 or 4 batches of the alumni, decided that it is very important for us to continue this mission and bring more Filipino young leaders to the Philippines. And so the alumni took on putting together this 501(c)(3). And next year will actually be our 10th year,
Wow.
10th year of PhilPro. So I wanted to make sure that we set ourselves up for sustainability. I mean, now that I'm older and hopefully wiser. I know a little thing or two about organizing
Mhm.
groups and maintaining, maintaining the foundations, building and maintaining the foundations that make an organization successful. I really want to apply, this little thing that I know to make sure that PhilPro is here beyond 10 years,
Yeah.
20, 30, 40 years. And that's the main reason why I stepped up to say, hey, I'm going to serve in PhilPro this year to try to set that up so that we get things moving 10 years moving forward.
No, that's so admirable. And again, like ever since I met you and I joined Phil Pro as a board of director, I've just been in awe of your leadership and the way that you've ran the organization. But that just goes to show because being in the inaugural in 2012 and then seeing it progress and evolve in the 10 years. Talk about the changes about how you saw it when we were. I guess Phil Pro was first intertwined with DFA, with the embassy, and then
Yes.
evolving to what you said earlier, a non-profit profit individual organization running on its own. I think that's a huge testament in how PhilPro has developed into such a great program for aspiring Filipino young leaders.
Right. And that's not without big credit to the Philippine Embassy in Washington, D.C., the Department of Foreign Affairs, who have been there supporting us. They are our organizational partners, and as well as the Ayala Foundation
Yeah.
Incorporated in Manila. None of this could have been possible if not for their dedication and support. And uh, the past 10 years, they have been our strongest partners. And I'm really looking forward to forging another 5 years with them and bringing more young leaders to the Philippines. Because, see, the thing is, sometimes I also think, right, now we are in a digital world,
Yeah.
and especially with COVID, it seems like the world is such a smaller place. You can really reach the people in the Philippines at any time, right? You can call anybody at any time. Is there still a value to bringing young Phil-Ams to Philippines? And my answer is
Yeah.
absolutely yes.
Yes.
It's very different when you actually get to experience being in the Philippines. And not only that, you get to see the very inspirational folks that are trying to help the Philippines really be where we're at, right? To progress, to be the fastest growing economy, to be in the center of arts, to be in the center of tourism, because we have so much potential. And I think it will be in the collaboration of Filipino Americans, because we're the biggest. Correct me if I'm wrong, Alvin. You know this better, right? A chunk of the people who are in the diaspora are really Filipinos living in America,
Yeah.
right? A big chunk of them. And so I feel like it is the people that are in the diaspora, the collaboration with them, Filipino Americans, Filipino Canadians, Filipino Australians, Filipino Hong Kongese, and local Filipinos, that can really make a change for our
Yeah.
country. And we're starting to see that now. And I really want to encourage more people to look into that and look at how, how they can enrich their lives here in America by looking back and going back to the Philippines.
Yeah, I was privileged to live in Philippines, and that was a life changing experience. Being born in the United States, and then we would vacation back and forth 2 3 weeks, maybe a month, and see relatives. But when I actually lived there, went to school, that's when I appreciated more about Philippines, its culture, its people. It's just an emotion that you just don't understand about the kindness, the generosity of the people, and then the ambition, to come from where they are, this third world country, but you can see hopes. Those are some things intangible things that you can't replicate when you can see people just like shooting for the stars. And that was one of the most humbling things, that made me realize that I can give more. I can help my community in some way by just giving visibility and exposure, and just continuously educating, inspiring. And that's what led me into PhilPro. And so I'm so glad to have met you and the organization. And that's why I'm really so excited to have you on the show, to really show not just, everyone has missions, but you can tell from the glow in your face to the way and the way that you speak about it, that it's more to you. It's not just an organization. It's more about our community, uniting our voice as Filipino people. And I think it's important, especially from 2020 going to 2021. Um, for you,
Thanks for sharing that.
no, it's an amazing thing, and I'm so glad, because 2020 was such a pivotal year for many people, not just people but organizations. Take a look at it themselves and find out what is their purpose, what is their meaning, why are they doing the things that they're doing, asking why. And so for you and PhilPro, I'm sure there was a lot of self-reflection in the organization about what you wanted to bring about sustainability. But in the future, what types of initiatives do you think PhilPro will be focusing on to really highlight Filipino Americans and to reconnect them with their roots?
Well, I know that I'm aspiring to, within this year, actually stand up some of those programs. And you're already familiar with it, but I'd love to share it with your audience. We know that we are building mentorship programs, as sure. And in our partnership with US Asia Institute, we are utilizing the skills and the knowledge and the life experiences of our alumni to guide the paths of these very bright and inspirational young graduates in college that are looking to find start their careers at the capital,
Mhm.
right? So US Asia Alliance is pairing them up with organizations in Washington D.C., and we have partnered with USAI in order for our alumni to also give back in a way, right? And find a deeper purpose too in guiding the next
Yep.
generation of Phil-Am leaders. So that's one, and I'm so happy that's happening this summer. It's actually starting this week for 9 weeks. That's already happening. And then we also have a huge leadership conference
Yep.
that we are doing in November in lieu of the immersion program. I know official word is coming out from the DFA about where the immersion program is, or whether we're doing immersion program this year. I think because of the situation in the Philippines, we are still leaning towards postponing it for this year, and maybe we will uh, wrap back up and do the series of immersion programs again next year. But in lieu of that, we are having this virtual conference, 3 days, and we will, yeah, November 4, 5, and 6. And we will have representation from leaders in the Philippines as well as highlighting our alumni here. We also want to hear from Ayala Foundation, who is celebrating their 50th anniversary with a theme of pride in the Filipino people. And that's really something that I love about Ayala Group of Companies and Ayala Foundation is that their companies are very ingrained in the needs of the Filipino people.
Mhm.
I say this without, like, this is not a marketing scheme. Like, I'm not being paid by Ayala. The things that they do, the services that they get into, are really businesses and services that will help uplift the Filipino people. And and so we want to hear from them. We want to hear from the experts that are in Ayala Museum. We're hoping to get Ambeth Ocampo, number one historian in the Philippines, to speak as part of that. And we're also tying up with the DFA, Philippine Embassy, so that we can get the younger um, leaders in the government to also share some nuggets of knowledge in serving the country, right? So, and then there's no shortage of alumni of PhilPro that can speak on technology, mental health, government leadership, business, entrepreneurship, travel, all of that, cuisine, like
Mhm.
culinary, achievements and things like that, and whatever is happening right now in the Phil-Am community, in the arts. So I'm super excited to be talking more about that. We're still in the works of like what it's gonna be called,
Yeah.
who's gonna be part of it. But I feel that's another program that PhilPro will be tackling this year that will really tie young leaders in the Philippines with young Philam leaders in the United States, and maybe even other leaders in the Middle East, in Australia, China, Hong Kong, Taiwan, wherever in Europe, wherever we have a lot of Filipinos, we want them all to congregate and talk and
Yeah.
discuss how we can actually uplift the global Filipino community.
No, and that's so important. And I'm so glad that you shared. I mean, going into 2021, building a community, even if it's virtual or digital or whatever, it's so much easier now because we can reach each other on the virtual space. But
As
like you mentioned, creating a Filipino global community is so important. And I really wanted to lead this into one of the projects that you were so that you put together earlier this year that I was a part of. And that was in response to the Stop Asian Hate. That was something that we partnered up with GMA TV. And it was a really quick turnaround of something that we had to react fast because of the issues that were going on around the nation. But I wanted you to talk about what we did and how that all came into fruition because it was literally in a week that we put
right.
something together like that. But the turnout was amazing, and it really helped a lot of people feel good about what was going on and try to understand, not with hate, but with understanding and education about where we came. Um, can you talk a little bit more about that project that we worked on?
Yeah, absolutely. So um, this was this initiative was in answer to Representative Judy Cho's ask to for us to mobilize, like as an Asian American community, on that day of action that was scheduled for March 26th, right? And they scheduled it so because it was also like 150 years from the time an immigration act was passed, where
Mm,
um, sadly, it was kind of just remembering that that it was an act that allowed all people who were not born in the U.S. to be U.S. citizens but only if they were white and not
Mm.
colored. See the significance of that? That was
Yeah.
March 26, 150 years ago. And that really called to me because it was very relevant to what was happening
Yeah.
now, what is happening now, where you'll see in the streets there are US is a diverse country. There's no one look of an American,
Of
right?
course.
And yet, there's um this notion somehow that people who are of our color, brown, and are not exactly American enough,
Yeah.
that we are somehow foreign, and that even worse, that we are the cause of the pandemic,
Yeah.
right? So that I'm sure a lot of our fellow Asian Americans, really want to rise up and say something, and so we built that platform on Here Now, combating Asian American hate, on that day, March 26th, to be in solidarity with other organizations that are speaking out about Asian hate at
Mm.
that point. And I'm so glad that GMA Pinoy TV, like, considered considered working with us even at the short term around, and even when they were just about to go on vacation mode because it's Holy Week in the Philippines, right? In order for Howie Severino,
Yeah.
very well respected personality, news personality in GMA, to host this panel. We got Alison Tintiang Cocobales,
Hmm.
very well respected personality here with the Philan studies, like Filipino American history, and she dropped a great deal of knowledge of
Yeah.
where Asian hate starts from, and how it has affected us. And then we had a few of our great alumni. I'm always like cheering on our alumni. We had EJ David, doctor of psychology,
Psychology. Yeah.
spoke about the effects of
Yep.
what seems to be like a huge study, Asian hate. You don't think it affects you, but it absolutely affects you on the day
Yeah.
to day. And he brought it down to that level where, yeah, you have to fight this because you may not be kicked and slapped on the streets, but it's affecting you. It's
Yeah.
affecting your people. So I love that. And we had Chris Lapinig, who spoke also about his work, his work in law, to ensure that we remove those institutionalized barriers that propagate
Yeah.
discrimination.
Yep.
Anna Marie talking about what she's trying to do with building up entrepreneurship among
Filipinos.
Filipinas and
Yeah.
among people of color. So and of course we also have our Vice President Lizelle Tanglao talking about invisibility in journalism, right? And how we should also have folks on there making sure that our stories, both successes as well as challenges, right, are highlighted so that people can see us more as just humans,
Yeah.
just like other people as well. So I was extremely proud of what the entire team had put together on that day of action. And I think one big testament to the success of that is we had a lot of comments on that page, right, when we went live,
Yeah.
where they were saying, yeah, this is the first time I heard about that, about our history. We
Yep.
really have to speak up. We have to show our stories. I think that's the biggest, I want to say, outcome of that. And then, of course, GMA, even in the weeks after that, started supporting a lot of publicity on cable TV, which we ought to have, right, to
Yeah.
say stop Asian hate. And we're looking at working with them again sometime in July for another program of PhilPro and GMA, hopefully, that will talk about the Philippine-U.S. relations 75th anniversary. So that's in the works too. So I'm glad to have GMA, on our side because of that one thing that we did. And thank you for, if anybody's listening, thank you for the PhilPro team that helped us pull it off in 1 week.
But no, that was such a great show. I really learned a lot. It wasn't just focusing on what we could do now, but everything information about how important and how vital Asian Americans, especially Filipinos, were to the fabric of the creation of this country. A lot of people, we don't talk about it a lot, and that was one of the biggest things that we spoke about having a voice, continuously reaching out and for the unheard Filipinos that didn't have the opportunities like we do now. We have all these
Absolutely.
platforms. We have all, and that's one of the things that I love about PhilPro. We keep talking about high influential in various industries, but when you see these alumni or these participants who are actively promoting in different industries, like you mentioned, in art, doctor, health, medicine, music, travel, whatever it is, and you aspired, and these are like role models to us, like with the whole Rob Bonta, Attorney General in California, that gives philams who never thought about being in politics, something that they can look forward to because someone did it before them. It opens the
Right.
doors, and that's why it's important for us to support organizations like PhilPro that creates these type of scenarios that we can, the road is already paved. We're already making it easier for those who are coming back behind us. So thank you so much for
Absolutely.
sharing that and all your works that you've done. It's really amazing what a few Filipinos can do who are dedicated and passionate, because Filipinos are resilient in whatever we do. So
Yeah. And it's not me. It's not me. I'm just shining a light on people who are actually doing the work. And I
yeah.
don't want to fail to mention Tony De La Rosa. He was also part of that. And that man, he's a new father, by the way, another
Oh.
alumni. Tony De La Rosa just had his baby. And, he was part of that panel too about speaking about, racial inequality and how to combat that in the workplace, right? He's doing, he's grinding and hustling, talking to corporate officials, like, and people who actually have a say in creating policies in organizations. And kudos to him. He's a new father too. So yeah, so amazing people. I'm always about promoting our alumni.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, I can talk about it all day. This is exactly why I created this platform, to highlight and give voices to Filipino entrepreneurs or influential Filipinos who just are making a difference. And for you, I mean, we talk about our successes, and you're highly successful in a lot of things that you've done or you've founded. But the reality is that failures are a part of your success. They're what makes us. In your long history of success, could you just describe a failure that helped you, that you realized was a stepping stone to get you to the next level or to the next, or was a pathway to where you wanted to be?
Did you say failure?
Yeah, a failure that you
Woo, we're
realized.
opening up now.
Yeah. Here's the real stuff, guys.
Yeah, yeah. There's lots. Gosh, like, and you would say that every step of the way, you kind of, when you hit a wall, or you feel like you're super excited about doing something, and then you realize, hey, nobody's there with you, and you're carrying the weight of the world. It seems like this is such a great thing, but how come I'm the only one who wants to do this? Nobody wants to do it with me, right? It's the that's when you start thinking in your mind, did I fail at something? Did I fail at, like, being an encouragement to other people? Did I fail at communicating why this is important?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I'll tell you about two, and the other one is a more practical one. But I feel like it's important for us to recognize that there, in our daily lives and in our struggle to live our purpose, right? Because everybody wants to have a purpose.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like maybe not when you're 15, or maybe you're young, or maybe you're just enjoying life, but at some point in time it hits you, um, you know, at a certain age, that you want to leave a mark in this world. And what is it that you're leaving? Then that's when things that you do really, um, go under a microscope and say, is this worth doing this? Is this making a mark, and things like that. And then it's just when you're like, when you're serious about trying to accomplish things, if the things don't go your way, you start thinking in your mind, did I fail at that part? Did I do
Yeah.
something wrong in here? And you know, and I think it's a human thing. It will not go away. But I think what I have learned over the years is that I should not let that stop me
Hmm.
from trying.
Yep.
Right? I think that's the same, and it still happens every day. Like, cause every day you get up and say, "What am I gonna accomplish today?"
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And sometimes things go your way and it's easy, but sometimes it's a struggle.
Yep.
And if it is clear in your heart what you're doing certain things for, I think eventually you find your way. Even if the whispers in your head that says, "Oh my God, you cannot do this. You cannot do this alone, and nobody wants to help you, so you can't do it." I think at the end of the day, you just have to shut it out, shut that out, and do what you can. Because if you just keep on chugging, you will find people along the way who will actually help you achieve what you want to do. So that's a lesson that I have I'm beginning to learn and continuing to learn every day.
No, that's powerful. I mean, you said a lot of good things, and I just want to really highlight that. I mean, one, community. Having a community to support you is very, very important. Sometimes when you go it alone, you have to be the, if you don't have confidence in things that you're doing, no one else will. But you still have to have a rally around in a community. If your intentions or your passions are what you're doing for, you'll find people on the way, and that's when you build your community. That's an important lesson that people should realize when they go into entrepreneurship or try to help. You may be the only one, but if your passions are true, you'll find people. Another one, fall 7 times, stand up 8. That's one of
Right.
that's
So
what
long
you
as you
do
stand
every day. Yes, you stand
so
up.
long as you stand up.
Yeah, as long as you
Right.
stand up. And
Oh
one of the
my
last
God.
ones.
I have a story on that.
I was gonna say, one of the quotes I usually put quotes out just to inspire people, but what the quote I put out today was, "It's not what you say out of your mouth; it's the whispers in your head that make you achieve the greatest things." So when you were saying, what whispers are going on in your head, if you continuously have positive affirmations, what your goal are, and these are the whispers that you hear, you'll achieve great things. And I'm so glad that you share that, because those are things that people don't realize. Your mindset and the way that you look at life, the way you attack life, the way that you change every day, you have a possible way to change your life, makes a big difference in what you'll actually achieve in your lifetime. So,
Totally agree. See, we're still on that same wavelength, Alvin. You and I,
see?
whispers.
And for you, I mean, the pandemic has, I mean, we're going into like our 13th month. We talked about virtual space, but was there any self-development that you learned on your own throughout the pandemic? A new
Oh my
hobby,
gosh,
a new
lots.
talent?
um, lots, because I think it's a layer of different things, right? I was just sharing this with a group of friends over chat, of course, because
Okay.
I'll shout out to them, my high school friends. Oh, I see Ali Cat Castle. She's one of my friends too, as well, in high school. Can you believe, in high school, college, in theater? It's a great actor, by the way. Um, so yeah, I was just speaking with my friends in high school, and um, we were just saying that, talking about people that we lost over the past year, right?
Hmm.
And I shared with them that I felt like I realized I don't know how to cope too much with death. I'm thankful that I did not lose any close family relatives to COVID, but I lost a lot of friends.
Mm-hmm.
Friends my age, my ninongs, ninangs, the two fathers, two fathers of our bandmates passed away in the past year. And um, what's surprising and what's scary to me is that both my husband and I, Baron and I, had COVID
Oh wow.
April 2020, very early on, just a few months after we went on lockdown, because he is a healthcare worker and he probably got it from one of his patients, and then
Yeah.
I ended up having COVID too. And so it makes you think like, I'm glad 2020 was not my last year.
Yeah.
I'm glad that I am still alive, but given that I still am alive, what am I, like, what am I
What's your mark?
looking
What are you gonna?
on, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like what's my purpose? Like, what am I, is there something that I still should be leaving the world with, just in case
Yep.
anything happens again? So that's a lot of that. Plus, it's also thinking about how do I live my everyday so that it is purpose filled.
Yeah.
And it's funny because it was all just coming at an intersection, because when I decided to serve in PhilPro as vice president, I one of the things that I said I really wanted to make as my mantra, as my principle, is purpose.
Mm-hmm.
PhilPro must live out its purpose. I should be living out my purpose as well. And so having a purpose means not just having this high level goal, I will achieve this in 2022, but there's nothing on the daily that is actually helping you get there. Living your purpose means you have to plan your day every day so that you
Yep.
are achieving something towards that. And I'm not looking to be a billionaire by 2021. Not those are not the goals that I aspire to, but it's making sure that my son who's growing up knows that he is number one for me. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it's knowing that he and my husband are my number one, and that I'm able to serve um, the community through the not-for-profits that I chose to be a part of, and that's
Yep.
PhilPro, that's Asian Pop-Up Cinema, that is bringing to the mainstream like Filipino and Asian films. That's also, I realize now, giving time to me, like making sure that because we're in a pandemic and we're sitting 8 hours a day in the same place, like I also have to find time to actually walk, find
Yeah.
time to make sure that I still have connections online that are not all about work,
Yeah.
that I'm still pursuing things that I love doing, and that I pay mind to where my mind is every day. That am I just like all focused on work, or am I actually also trying to fill my soul, like you said, by keeping that positive mindset? And it's not easy. It's not just about waking up and saying this is a great day. Sometimes you really have to work for
Yep.
it, right? You have
Yep.
to work for it, and that's that purposeful life that I'm trying to aspire to do. And in a way, I'm thankful that this scenario shook me in that into thinking that, right? Because we want to do a lot of things with our life, but it's limited, and you don't know when it'll expire.
Yeah. No, I think that's important. I mean, leaving a legacy as everyone has gone through this year. I think a lot of people are looking for that purpose, meaning to their life. They're more mindful of how they spend their time because when we had to stop what we were our daily routines, we started to look and analyze like, hey, I'm spending a lot of time in a car. I'm spending a lot of time at work. I didn't realize I can see, when we weren't even allowed to go out, I mean, I literally saw more animals walking around the birds. I was like, oh my gosh, that's so crazy. But you never had time because we're always just go, 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 go. So,
Absolutely.
I think that's important to learn to have purpose, to be mindful about your surroundings, your environment, and what you are leaving behind. Because we don't think like that
Yeah.
anymore. And
Yeah.
I think that's an important thing that you mentioned, and I'm so thankful that you said that. We're getting close to the top of the hour. I know there's a lot of things that we can talk about this all day because both of us are very passionate in advocating for the Filipino community. But if any of the viewers wanted more information about PhilPro, is there social handles or websites that they can visit to get more information about the PhilPro program?
Yes, yeah. On Twitter we are Mabuhay PhilPro. On Facebook it's PhilPro. On Instagram it's PhilPro, and we also have a website philpro.org. If you want to know more about the immersion program, while we are not taking in, or the search is not open at this point in time, you might want to know, what that entails and what it takes to be a part of and apply, to be part of the delegates. I highly encourage young Filipino Americans ages 25 to 40 to check that out. And yeah, follow us on Facebook and Instagram because we're really building up on the great programs, right? Mentorship program, virtual conference. We're having the documentary and panel with DFA and hopefully GMA. We're still working that out, and Ayala Foundation on the U.S. Philippines ties, the U.S. Philippines diplomatic ties 75th anniversary. That's happening. And a lot of other things. I'm sure we're planning something for Filipino American History Month as well. So please follow us on Facebook so that you can get first news on what's happening within PhilPro, and also hear about the different alumni news, right? We always try to highlight our alumni there, the things they're up to, the events, talks, you know, uh, and uh, and some of them are grants and good programming that you might want to follow. So follow us on PhilPro, and if you want to catch me, I'm on LinkedIn, Louella Rose Cabalona. I also have a website, luellarose.com. And if you're more on the music side, there's SamaSama Project. We're actually, it's funny, we're now getting live gigs. So
Oh,
that's starting up. I think we will be in Iowa, Wisconsin, towards the tail end of summer. So we'll definitely announce that on samasamaproject.com if we're in your neck of the woods.
awesome, awesome. Yeah, I mean, I'm so excited because this is going to be. I mean, we're going back into normalcy. We're starting to see what everyone's going to turn to when it comes to coming out of their shell and realizing we're back into normal. So I can't wait for live music. I'm a big fan of live music. Can't wait to meet everyone in person. It's just, and then just getting together with Phil Pro. It reminds me of like certain quotes that I like to think. Oh, like what is it? It's community is much more than belonging to something. It's about doing something together that makes belonging matter. So it's not being part of a community, but what you do together that makes belonging really matter to what the purpose, the projects, the things that you're doing. And with PhilPro, we're achieving so many great new innovative ways to get our voice out and highlight the Filipino people.
I love
So
that.
yeah, awesome. Any other final thoughts that you want to share with all of our viewers before you go?
Uh, no, like it's follow Adrian Adriano, such a great person to speak with. I literally could do this all day with you. It's
Yeah,
just
I know we could.
a delight speaking with you, and we'll match again next time. And yeah, yeah, we'll
We didn't plan this. I can tell you that we didn't
we
plan
did
this.
not. We did not, but I'm happy to be here. And yeah, yeah, I love speaking about Philbro and all our other advocacies here. We'll bring you more alumni to speak at this show too. So thank you. Thank you for listening, and thank you for having me.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Luella, for all your service, all your dedication and passion, and just inspiration to all the Philams that are, in the alumni and the batch and since 2012 and up to now, leading us to the promised land of being able to unite our Filipino community. So thank you again, Lou. I'll have you on the show again. We'll just get updates about what's going on. So take care.
Sure. Thanks to everybody who watched. Thank you.
So yeah, thank you so much, Luella. I am just thankful to have her to bring her on the show. It's been an absolute pleasure to chat with her and just get to know more about PhilPro and all of their initiatives and tasks that they're doing. To all the viewers, thank you so much, really, for spending a little part of your day with us. I hope you heard some positive insights and knowledge about how you can aid the growth of our Filipino community. We are constantly growing our community, and we really want to give voices to those who are often unheard. I hope each one of you have found your passions in life and make a life that you are really proud of, to leave a legacy where people will remember. I created this platform to highlight individuals who break out of the norm and find what's important to them. And I ask all the viewers, if you know someone, a business, or just someone who has a great story to tell, please get in contact with me so we can give them visibility and share their story. I'm always looking for the next inspiring entrepreneur to give them the exposure that they need to inspire us and all of you. Next week, I'm bringing out a super talented individual. He's well known in the Filipino community. He's an innovator, an entrepreneur. Also a PhilPro alum, but he creates functional networks and to support his passions. I'll be bringing on Lucky Shop. He is the founder of the Chicago Asian Network, which is a full service agency providing the community a platform for content that serves to consolidate and represent the multi generational and diverse Asian American community throughout the internet with resources, media, stories, and events. Plus, he's just an awesome guy. I met him a long time ago, and we just have a great time with our ideas. So I'm thrilled to have him on the show. But catch us next week, Wednesday, June 9th at 2 p.m., right here on Celebrating Filipino Entrepreneurs. But before we end today's show, I do want to ask all of the viewers out there or anyone who's watching, if you know anyone who has the urge to help inspire, mold, or educate the next generation of young Philams, it's always important to create a pipeline of resources, talent, and opportunity for these thriving leaders. And through PhilPro's nonprofit mission, and that Lou and I serve, we're always looking for volunteers to mold the youth. So if you know anyone or you might be interested in volunteering some time in educating and creating opportunities, please hashtag volunteer, and I'll personally reach out and let you know what we can do to support our community. It's been my passion to always give back, and I urge all the viewers to find the right time to do so. There's nothing more enriching and fulfilling when you help. Again, my name is Alvin Adriano. I'm a Filipino entrepreneur, an advocate for our community. And if you love what you hear today, please hashtag celebrate. Let's keep inspiring each other. So till next time, thank you for joining us. Mabuhay.